What's up, everybody? My name is D, and together we are Guiding Delight. How's that high vibe tribe doing? Whoo-wee! As always, in between these videos, so much goes down, it's hard to compile it all into my cranial and to extract it when needed. But we're going to do my best. So, from what I've been seeing, we've had these energy pickups, we've had these Schumann blasts, and now we're kind of in this lull. Today's Tuesday, I think May 11th. No, 12th, right? The 12th. And some things have been opening up around my area. This whole COVID thing, I mean, if you guys are still playing into that, please stop. If you're having a hard time figuring that out, or, blaming this unfortunate tale of events that's slowing you down, no, you can stop that. That's right, because in this great time of captivity, we should be expanding, right? Not only expanding inside, but expanding throughout, right? So to be able to thrive in this certain situation is really what we need to do. I haven't been paying much attention to it at all. I got everything going. I'm going and I'm doing something. I get there and you can't do it. I'm like, why? They're like, COVID-19. I'm like, what's this COVID-19? I mean, trying to live my life the best that I can without having to be interfered with that whole nonsense, right? So if you're tied up on that, get over it. Let's go. Okay, there's plenty of things to be expanding upon right now, but there's also plenty of distractions, right? I've talked about this before, where the ego or the self-doubt inside of us kind of boils back up, and it kind of tests us. It's like an integrity test. And why do we have to go through this over and over and over again? It's like, I've set my path. I set myself on a path. I've chosen a path. Now I know I'm headed for greatness. But this, you can't do it, this disbelief, this you're never gonna make it, all this stuff flutters back in, and I don't understand how to stop that yet. So if anyone knows how to stop that, please leave it in the comments. For the rest of us, that'd be great. But no, we get feeling so good, we get such on a high vibe, we're striving, we're going forward, and then we just hit these mental roadblocks. So pay attention to the mental roadblocks. If it's happening to you right now, the best thing I can do is push through it, stay gratitude, have that sense of, compassion, and just be that radiant version you want to be. And then as those unfortunate situations arise, or these unfortunate thought patterns arise, you can walk through them, right? That's why we call it doing the work, right? You do the work. This thought is not me. I've acknowledged the thought. I felt the feeling associated with the thought. Now I'm going to let it go. Okay, the more and more you do this, the more and more you do the work, right? Now, there's also some very interesting things going on right now with the communicational grids, right? And I'm sure some people have talked about it out there. I don't really know how to explain it, but I've had an epiphany, right? So if you look at lines and grids, right, each connection is considered like a thought pattern. So you see angry, sadness, and you name it, whatever, but they're all different thought patterns, and they all intersect at different each other, right? So then I got to thinking about that. I was like, well, what if all these thoughts aren't activated, right? So you think about the matrix grid, right? You got the ones and all the numbers, right? Well, imagine if that whole grid was lit up with ones. New beginnings, right? So if you light all the grids up with ones, everything's lit up with ones. So that means all thought processes are a new beginning. So you think, wait a second, what if my grids aren't fully lit up, right? What if I haven't dug deep enough into my thought patterns and my progressions, right? What if certain patterns aren't lit up? How do I figure out which ones are lit up? And I'm simply asking you to go inside and meditate, right? And to focus on your colors and the associated feelings with your colors. Colors are something I talk about with my clients a lot. To be able to understand the different energies associated with colors, right? And then to feel the different hues and shades of the colors. And because you could have red as being fear, but then you could also have red as being sacred. And it's very interesting, because if you've associated red with fear, every time you see red you think fear. So when you see red, you want to avoid it, right? And that's really not the case, because there's different complexities within the color, right? Everything has an opposite reaction, right? So being able to break that down is very important. So that's a little tidbit for you guys. I personally like the blues and the greens. The pinks and the golds. I like my plasma gun too. But anyways, as we open these grids up, right, as these grids expand, we have more of an opportunity to communicate with inside of that pattern of grid, right, in that linear line, if you will, right? So if you're in this linear point node, and you can hop over here and hop over there, and you can make sacred geometry through your matrix grids, through your lattice, if you will, if you can pinpoint certain energies together into that sacred energy and then spin it, what it does is it allows other thought patterns and other neurological connections within your brain to turn on. You light that grid up, right? So that's why I'm saying light it all up, turn it to ones, and have new beginnings. And then I also got to thinking, well, maybe, some thought patterns are on like 3 or 4. Some of them are almost full completion at a 9, right? So I wouldn't say completely reset them all, right, at the start. But then I got to thinking, man, what if you use the moon cycle, right, to be completion and start? I'm still working on that one for you guys, but definitely bringing that back. But really, the energy is kind of long out. I feel like it's going to pick back up this weekend. Like I said, this is Tuesday. It's hard to get going. It's hard to get traction. It's hard to gain momentum when the energy kind of dips off, right? Because like I said before, we like this high vibe. We like this high energy. It really feeds our souls and our vessels because we have done that work and we've upgraded some of that DNA inside of us. So when we're not getting it, it kind of takes us back a little bit. And then, we go slower in our progressions, and then the doubt comes back and the worry and all the, man, I wish I knew how to stop it, but I don't. But I know how to work through it. And I know how not to let it affect me and drag me down, right? So that's key points, right? So when these come up, let's work through it. Let's get through it. And it's very interesting. When 3 days ago, nothing could stop you, right? You were on top of the world. And then all of a sudden, it's like, now you're in the valley, right? And my whole progressions, and I've learned to make the valleys the peaks. But even still, when some of this energy shifts, and for whatever reason, that self-doubt comes back. And I love myself. I don't doubt myself at all. I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to achieve. I know I want to keep making, inspirational videos. I want to keep sharing my experiences within the energy. But in the same sense, you can't do this. And then like, I don't know, my mind just plays tricks on me. It's like, look at this person. This person can do it. You can't. It's so weird. Still working through that. But like I said, I'm able to pick it out. I'm able to understand it, and then able to move on. So if you guys have been facing with that, that's what we got to do. We got to do the work. We got to understand where the thought's coming from, why it's trying to test you away from your path, and then use it for momentum to drive you forward instead of slowing you down, right? That's crucial. Another thing I've been noticing is AI, right? I like to call it automated intelligence, autonomous intelligence. You can call it whatever you want. But it's been very interesting. I've got one of those Siris, and I also got a Google Home at home. And I know some of you guys are thinking like, well, aren't they listening to your conversations and stuff? And it's like, if you're at that point, then you really don't understand. So you can't hide from anything. The psychological traits can define and depict what you've done in your past. So there's really no escaping anything. There's really no hiding from anything. I know some people are like, oh, they're looking at me on the satellites and blah, 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 this and that. And it's like, yeah, they could be. But in the same sense, you're never alone. You're always being watched. So why are you having this fear or this thought pattern of, I don't want to be watched, when you're constantly surrounded and you're always being watched? You can't hide nothing, right? The energy doesn't lie. So that's been interesting though, because I've asked Google a couple times. Siri, she's good, man. It's hard to trick her, but Google, she's got a lot of work to do. But she was explaining to me emotions, and she was giving me photos, and different little like songs based upon the emotional response of the statement that I gave her. And I'm just like, I'm freaking blown away, right? I'm sitting here talking to this thing for like 30 minutes, having like a pretty much full-on conversation, and it's responding through emotion, through what it's capable of. You know, it can't feel, but it understands what we feel, so it reflects that back. Thought that was pretty neat. Also got a little download on that too, that, you know, if you're worried about the AI or whatnot, the AI, if you think about this, the AI is controlled by a computer, right? What are we? We're supercomputers. We're quantum computers, right? If we learn how to quantum compute, aka use the quantum field to our advantage, well, if we're quantified, right, and then an AI situation comes up, we can quantify it. See, you can take that whole programming that could be against you, right? You can reprogram it and use it to benefit you, right? So another one out there for you guys, you know, these 5G towers, you know, everybody's freaking out about them. I'm like, why? This is actually a really good thing. You're adding more energy into the quantum field. So you have more energy to play with. Therefore, you can have greater patterns. You can spin energy faster. So what I like to say to you guys is, if any of you out there are worried about the 5G towers, you know, quantify it. Envision that tower in your mind. Wrap it in golden plasma light, and then see your heartbeat beating out of the tower and radiating down. And then once you start getting those tingles and you start feeling that energy flow, save it, rerun it, wrap it, tap it, send it, and then a couple days later, when you see that tower, run through the program, run through the thought, run through that whole progression of what you did to take the excess of energy and benefit humanity. You see, this benefits us, but it also benefits nature. And the whole communication things with the grids and everything, the nature itself is wanting to communicate with you, right? And I've seen it two different ways play out, which is very interesting, and I'm still trying to work this one out. I really wasn't going to share, but I'll go there because I think this stuff's neat, and maybe someone could leave a comment to help me out. But there's two different scenarios, right? In the United States of America, nature wants to be quantified with our energy bodies, right? So what does that mean? Nature wants to see us, Tractor Man. I hope this isn't ruining the video, but nature wants to see us combine it with our quantum field. So if you see a tree, you think of your quantum light body, becoming your light body, and then envision yourself standing to the tree. And then the tree lights up the same color you are. And then you guys cross-communicate, and it programs your quantum environment, right? I highly suggest doing this on your property, not a park or something where lots of people are going to be. I highly suggest you start small if you're going to try this technique. Maybe just with a potted plant, right? Don't go for the big 100-year-old tree right away. But as you communicate, it lights up the quantum field around you. So you're making sacred space and a quantumness of beautiful light, right? So you see it with your physical eyes, but then there's also its codex throughout the quantum. So that way when you go to the quantum space and you look around, you can see all the trees and all the plants and all the animals that you've interacted with within that quantum range, if you will. And what that does is it's building sacred space. And as you build that sacred space, you can expand upon it, but in the same sense, it allows you to, let's say, organize your thoughts in a way, but in the same sense, it allows you to organize the quantum structure that's around you, right? And the other way I've been seeing it is, and like I said, I'm still working on this, but people that aren't in the United States, and I don't want you guys to kick in any fear. This isn't bad or anything. This is just how things are whirling. Right now in the United States, we're like, whew, we're super amped, right? And we're getting the blessings from the government. You know, we ain't got the people in the black suits knocking on the door, you know, like trying to fear us and keep us from expanding. But yeah, they've already let us gone too far. But what I've seen in other places is nature wants to hide the light. Okay, so in the United States, nature is wanting to connect, expand, become the light with us, kind of step into that new earth, right, creating that abundance, it wants to just blend, and it wants just abundance of light, okay? But in other areas, nature wants to wrap, okay, hide and conceal. And I thought about that. I'm like, why? You know, I thought we were all expanding into this 5D energy, this higher quantum energy. You think everything would want to connect. And then what I've gotten from that is it's wrapping those certain energies up because it's more inward connected, right? So instead of, for me, I'm more galactic in a way, I'm more up in a way, okay? But for these individuals and the way this energy goes in these different areas is it's more inner driven to go enter, because there's interquantum within the inner earth that needs to be taken care of. Like I said, everybody's on a different path. Everyone has different experiences. Everyone has their canvas, their paintbrush, and all their paints, right? My paints might be the same as yours and vice versa. But if we learn how to use all of our tools and put them together, I find it very interesting. So I'm not much of an inner earth person. Like I said, I'm more up in the stars through the galactics, but in the same sense, I have an inner connection to the inner world, and a very good connection to Gaia. I mean, I love receiving her blessings, but I find it very interesting that nature in some areas is concealing and kind of forcing that light to go inward, where in others locations it's like a laser beam straight up through the ether, and you know, once you've busted through the ether, you've got pretty much a ladder of abundance, and you can go up and down whatever you desire within that you know, thought pattern and modality. And it's really hard for me to explain, but in the same sense, I love you guys. Hope everybody's doing well. You know, just pay attention to when your mind starts ticking away from what you desire, right? It's very easy. And to give up the excuses, right? Like this COVID shit, there's no such thing in my book. I mean, I'm looking around. I was able to get my hair cut today. Thanks, Mom. You know, barbershops open back up in Indiana. That's also something that's cool. It's, you know, living on the Ohio-Indiana border, you know. If you don't like it in this state, you can just hop over to the next one, you know. Some people don't have that luxury, I know, and some of you guys are just dying to get your hair cut. It's coming. It's coming. But in the same sense, we have to understand this is the time to expand, right? And we talked about expansion for months and months and months, and DNA evolution, you know, all that's good stuff. But right now, it's the communication, right? The communication between all of these different nodes, knolls, trees, rocks, flower. I mean, everything wants to communicate with you because they want the radiance of your heart, okay? So if your heart's blue diamond out and it's gleaming, then things around you, they want to receive that blessing that you were able to receive. You know, we bring this energy down, and it's up to us to spread it out there like peanut butter and jelly, right? So if we bring it down, we're not communicating with anything. We're not spreading it out. We're just kind of keeping it centered. But in the same sense, we're doing our part. We're raising the frequency. But there's that little extra you could do with that communication. And the communication is just, like I said, it's really something else. And I've been paying almost maybe too much attention, right? I feel like sometimes I just treat my life like a science experiment, but it's very fascinating for me, right? And when I get on hypothesis theory and conclusion mode, you know, I force the limits, and sometimes I'm a little abusive to myself because I want to see, is there a difference? You know, I'm still kind of dealing with the sympathy weight, right? We had a baby back in January, and I'm just now starting to go back down the scale, right? She starts eating for 2, you start eating for 2. Guys out there with babies and kids, you know, I mean, but that was all part of my thought pattern was, you're fat and you're overweight and you're going to be worthless. And it's like, no, I bought smaller pants this time last year. I want to get back in them. Just the little things, but baby and mommy are doing good. The other 2 boys have been helping out. Life's been pretty good. We've gotten some chickens. We're planting the garden. We're really thriving in this time where people they're complaining that they're bored and they're sitting around doing nothing. And it's like, man, give me 3 days of nothing. I can accomplish so much. Oh, man. So how do we thrive in these certain situations, and how do we not allow what is going on with the energy to slow us down in our projection? I think it's very key. And I want to leave you guys with a little bit of tidbit. If anybody's still with me, already 20 minutes. Uh-oh. Probably lost a few of you. But anyways, if you're still listening, thanks. I love you. And check this out. So I was doing a little bit of energy work on the wife, and I don't do it all the time because I don't feel like pushing my truth upon her like I have in the past. Because that's another thing, guys. You don't want to push your truth. My truth may be different than your truth, but our truths together equal a whole truth. So keep that in mind. But I was running some energy through her, and it was like nervous system. Work on this nervous system. So I started working on the nervous system, and then click, she lost her nerves. She's like, "You're not doing anything." Blah blah. And then I was like, "Oh, there it is." So I made that connection that I never made before. I thought your nervous system was just kind of like, how you feel, right? But then, like, your nerves, right? When someone is on your nerves, isn't that interesting? So your nervous system, if it's fully balanced in feng shui, when you touch something, you have more of a response. And then when you do this energy work, you have more of a feeling into that energy, right? So working on the nervous system, one way to heal the nervous system is to learn how to be calm. Isn't that interesting? So as you quiet your mind, as you calm yourself down, you heal your nervous system. As the nervous system becomes healed, you're greater able to feel the energy and expand within it. I thought that was pretty cool. And like I said, we're always learning, we're always growing, we're always expanding. And once again, in this time, the way the energy is right now, just pay close attention to your thoughts. Don't let anything shake you. Have a plan. Come up with solutions. Write your goals down. If you don't write them down, they don't become goals. They're just dreams. And you can dream forever. But at the end of your life, when you sit down on that chair or on that rocker or on that swing and you're on the porch, you don't want to be having a bunch of stories of, "I wish I coulda." You want to be having a bunch of stories of, "Remember when I did this? Remember we were doing this, and we had the goal of changing the world, and it didn't quite really work out. But 5 years later, since we put that play into action, look at us now. Look at us now." I still want to be doing energy work full time, but I don't quite think people are ready for my understanding of my truth. And I just need to keep doing my research. I just need to keep expanding. But, sessions are there, guys, if you want to grab them. But what do you do once you understand how to act? And what do you do when you become mature in the energy? And how do you use that to your beneficial factor, right? I'll leave this one with you guys. Remember, you're alchemists. You are energy bearers. You are atomic radiation centers, okay? So the intention, your thoughts, drive everything. So get crazy with it. Go Lunu, if you will, and like sit there and talk to your glass of water and put intention and love into that, and then drink it and feel it cleanse your system. And then even have that thought when you go to the bathroom, how it's going to cleanse the pipes and it's going to cleanse the septic system. You know what I'm saying? We have that ability. We have that power. I've tapped into it for the last year and a half, and I'm here to tell you guys, the more you can understand quantumly, the more you can put yourself out there and just go, and not have self-beliefs and self-doubts hold you back and limit yourself. The more you can free yourself, the more you expand yourself, the more you realize you have no limits, question everything, discernment picks up. The greater your discernment comes, the more you're able to realize these things, right? I remember being young in this journey and not having my discernment, and it was scary, right? I still had some fear in me. I still had some anger in me. I had a ton of self-doubt, but progressively working through it. year after year, understanding my truths, turning on my psychic abilities, and expanding myself to a plateau that very few on this planet have even conceived, let alone received. Okay? So the light codes are there. I got plenty of information for you guys. I don't know how to explain it all the time, but what I really, really want you guys to know is that whatever thoughts you have right now and whatever is holding you back and whatever is draining you, you got to address it and get rid of it, because if not, this next week's going to be hell. If you figure out how to get out of it, if you figure out how to grab the bike or grab the skateboard or even the surfboard and get ahead of the wave, because it's white capping and it's getting ready to collapse on everyone. And I'm kind of pre-warning you guys, because I don't want to see somebody get knocked back 3 months because of this, let's just call it egotistical thought pattern of I'm not good enough, or you're never going to succeed and you might as well just give up, right? There is no giving up. And I find it so interesting too, because when you get to such a high plateau, you think you've reached it. You're like, I've made it, I've done it, I'm complete, I'm whole. And then it's like, no, you just cracked the iceberg. Because you can always expand, you can always grow. And to accept change in that manner and to understand what we do today is going to drive tomorrow, but what happens tomorrow will not alter from what we did today. Right? Sometimes I get speechless thinking about all this. So many people out there think that this energy work is just a made-up belief. Put the wizard on the right and the witch on the left. See how much magic appears in your life. See, tapping in that true essence, understanding the magic that is around you, understanding that everything surrounds you is particles, right? 2 higher selves, 1 oxygen equals water. 2 hydrogen, H2O, okay? Well, think about that. 2 higher selves combined in a circle builds, right? And everything is all just 1 particle of an atom. So when you put all the atoms together, you create a structure. But wait a minute, they're particles of atoms. So you can flow like water. That one came to me about 7 months ago. That was pretty cool. It's like, man, it all comes down to a single molecule of water. Who would have thought? Like always, you guys stay awesome. Be you, stay true. And you know what? We're going to get through this. And I hope you guys can see past it, because what's going on is quite magnificent. What is going on the other side of duality is something I've never seen before. And I don't know if it's happening now because of the time we're in, or if it's because my energetic maturity has picked up and my understanding has gone. I don't know. Maybe it's a mixture of the two. I'm still trying to figure that out. Embodying my higher self, that was interesting. And now that I've embodied my higher self is inside me. So he doesn't tell me what to do anymore. I tell him. And then it's like, wait a minute. So who do I go for support? Oh yeah, that's right. We still got the Creator above us, guys. Don't forget that. The one and the all, the almighty, right? Everything exists out of 1 thought pattern. We're in the Milky Way galaxy. We got to get it. No more excuses. It's coming. Don't get buried. Do what you got to do to paddle in front of it. So when it crashes and it smashes everybody down on the ground, it propels you so fast, so forward. Ain't nothing going to stop you. Ain't nothing going to hold you back, baby. You guys, get it. Stay true. Be you. Till next time. Peace.